Welcome back to Yang Daily. I'll be your host, Alex Cheney, bringing you all the Yang news you need to live your life right. We've got COVID, UBI, and mayoral news on the menu tonight. Let's dig in. Quick shout out to our Tier 3 patrons, Shay Meehan and Nathan Stankowski, as well as all our other patrons. You keep us all informed and engaged. If any of you out there want to join these advocates of humanity first and independent journalism, head on over to patreon.com/YangDaily. It would only take a couple of bucks a month from each listener to keep this podcast and community going and growing into the future. Now on to the news. COVID variant B.1.617.2, or Delta to her friends, appears to be the new dominant strain of coronavirus. It has outpaced the previously most transmissible B.1.1.7, now known as Alpha. According to one assessment, Delta may be 50% more infectious than Alpha and the cause of the major outbreak in India. The variants are making headway on beating single doses of vaccine, but 2 doses are still highly effective. Delta is 17% more successful than Alpha at infecting people who have a single vaccine dose. One study measuring neutralizing antibodies found that after a single dose of Pfizer, 79% of participants had significant antibody responses against the original strain, but only 50% had antibodies effective against the Alpha variant, 32% against Delta, and only 25% against Beta. Another study by Public Health of England, or PHE, found that a single dose of Pfizer vaccine was only 33% effective at preventing symptomatic infection by Delta, though it has yet to be peer-reviewed. The PHE study found that 2 doses, on the other hand, were 88% effective at preventing infection by Delta. Delta is most prevalent in ages 12 to 20 and has more severe symptoms than OG COVID, causing more hospitalizations. Symptoms may include hearing loss, tonsillitis, and blood clots that can lead to gangrene and potentially amputation. However, the PHE study found that double-dose vaccines are over 90% effective at preventing hospitalization. Delta has already pushed back the UK's reopening plans, where it constitutes over 90% of new cases, and is quickly spreading in the US as well. These mutations evolve as the virus spreads. The best way to stop them is mass vaccination, which is why countries are donating vaccines globally. Make sure you get both doses. All G7 countries have now pledged to join the US in donating vaccines to poorer countries, adding an extra 500,000 doses. All of that with the sources and studies are included in the COVID variants thread, which is in the podcast description below. In a speech, the UN Secretary General listed UBI as a necessary policy step for leading countries to undertake. Recognition and support for UBI continue to grow, and it is fantastic seeing it become common parlance among even the most prominent politicians. This is how we build a movement. Keep it up, gang. Big endorsement news for Yang today, who won the controversial support of the CEA, the police union that represents current and retired NYPD captains, including rival candidate Eric Adams. Adams preemptively stated he would not accept endorsements from police unions this race. He has accepted them in the past, suggesting that he's flowing with the public sentiment in the wake of Floyd's murder. Yang, on the other hand, has more progressive police policy than Adams, but seems not to be engaging in focus group politics. CEA President Chris Monahan said, quote, "Andrew and myself have had many conversations. Some of the conversations we agree on totally. Others we do not. However, I respect Andrew as a person who is willing to have a difficult conversation with, right now, a very unpopular profession." End quote. He also mentioned one of those disagreements is over Yang's requirement to hire officers from the communities in which they will work, which is designed to create more humane bonds between the police and the policed. Monahan does not want to reduce the talent pool from which officers can be selected. Andrew had no qualms about using this endorsement against Adams, saying, quote, "The officers that worked under Adams for years have chosen to endorse me. This should tell New Yorkers all they need to know about Eric Adams and his leadership." End quote. Yang also got the endorsement of the Asian American Police Executives Council. Public safety remains the top issue in New York City polls. Finally, AAPI Democracy Project is hosting a New York City Voting is Justice rally, which will feature Andrew and other mayoral candidates, as well as Senate Leader Chuck Schumer and many more guest speakers. It's happening Sunday, June 20th in Chinatown, Manhattan. To RSVP, follow the link in the description or text HELLO to 619-773-0713. And that'll do it for today's Yang Daily. Bookmark and share the COVID variants thread. Get on the phones or on the streets for Yang. Flood Congress with calls, tweets, faxes, and letters using the ResistBot or Income Movement's easy contacts below. If you need help, consult Humanity Forward, the Income Movement Aid Database, the Mission Asset Fund, or United Way, and don't forget to Yang Daily.